We'll start with Virginia Tech, 3-8 for the Hokies in year one under Brent Pry. They struggled early. They struggled to score points. They were 1-4 in one-score games. 3 wins last year, the fewest since 1992. 1-6 in the ACC. They had their season finale canceled against Virginia. This is a team, Lucas, and we've talked about before with other teams, struggled to score, averaged 19.3 points per game. They were 120th in total offense in 2022. Didn't make a change at offensive coordinator. Didn't make a ton of changes to the staff. Grant Wells, who threw for over 2,000 yards last year, will be the quarterback, or it'll be Kerryon Drones from Baylor, the transfer at this point. Reports out of camp or reports after spring. It's about 50-50. Lucas, we're not used to seeing Virginia Tech at 3-8. This has been one of the more consistent programs. It's been a program that struggled to find footing the last 5-10 years. They were one of the elite programs in this league a handful of years ago, and now they're really not. And I am not super bullish on this team. I think I'm a little lower on the bottom of the league. You might be a little higher. So talk to me about Virginia Tech.
So I actually think Virginia Tech might surprise some people this year.
Okay.
I think I was trying to look at the lower tier of the ACC this year, and I was just trying to see who could be the Duke this year that no one really expects to do anything, but then maybe surprise people. Now, I don't expect Virginia Tech to win 9 games this year, but I do think that this team can get to a bowl game this year, which I think would be a substantial step in the right direction. I think this roster was just bad last year. You looked at, they lost so many guys to the transfer portal, including, I think they lost their quarterback, their leading rusher, and their like top 2 or 3 wide receivers last season. And they kind of had to fill spots. Brent Pry was a little hesitant to fill it with transfer guys, but I think that's the opposite this year. They brought in, I think, some transfers that make a lot of sense. You mentioned, they brought in Grant Wells this year, but then they bring in Baylor transfer Kerryon Drones, who is more of a dual threat guy. I think might be better for the system that they want to run. But then you also look at kind of the skill positions. They bring in, they bring back 4 of their top 6 wide receivers, but then they also brought in Allie Jennings, who almost had 1,000 yards with Old Dominion last year, who beat Virginia Tech. They also brought in Jalen Lane, almost had 1,000 yards at Middle Tennessee State. And they do bring 3 starters back on the offensive line, which wasn't great last year. But they brought in, a couple transfers, including, Clayton Freddie, who was a 3-time All Big South type of team last year. And they were decent enough on defense. I think under Brent Pry, that is going to continue. They brought in a couple transfers in there. Their secondary actually should be very good. They bring, I think, 4 of their 5 starters back on there. So I do think they take a step offensively, and I don't think their schedule is crazy difficult when you look at some of the other ACC schedules. So I think this could be I'm on the opposite end. I think this could be a vastly improved Virginia Tech team.
Yeah, and listen, 1-4 in one-score games last year, right? So if that's 3-2 or 2-3, you're winning 4 or 5 games. You feel better about yourself. Virginia Tech's returning production is 69%. That's 38th in the country. The over/under win total at FanDuel is 5.5. Over is plus 118. So Lucas might want to be opening up his FanDuel app. Under minus 148. The non-conference schedule, I think, is not easy. Old Dominion at home, who beat them last year. Purdue at home. At Rutgers. At Marshall. Marshall beat Notre Dame last year. The conference schedule, they'll get Wake Forest, Syracuse, Pitt, NC State at home. They'll go at Florida State, at Louisville, at Boston College, and at Virginia. 5.5 wins for you, Lucas. I think I know which way you're going, but what do you think?
I'm going over. I think this team makes a bowl this year. Like I said, I think you kind of mentioned it too, how they kept both coordinators, especially on offense with Tyler Bowen when this offense was not good. I think sometimes when you're brought into a new situation, I think sometimes we see coaches let go of coordinators too quick. I think this just brings a little bit more stability. Hey, I think it was more personnel last year than it was coaching. Like I said, I think they're going to make some strides offensively on that side of the ball. And I think their defense is going to stay pretty solid. So, yeah, I'm going over. I think at minimum, this is a 6-6 team next year.